Thanks, gentlelady. Gentlelady yields back. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and just yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentlelady from New Mexico is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Chairwoman Foxx and Ranking Member Scott. I think we need to go back in time, and I always ask my constituents as we talk about the different programs that we have and what they did is remember what it was like, right? Let's remember what it was like when the pandemic hit and our economy was in a free fall. People did not know whether they'd have jobs, whether they'd be able to make rent, or whether they'd be able to make their student debt payments. And we stepped in. We did the right thing. We stepped in, and because we stepped in, the economy is no longer in the same kind of free fall that it was. But the issues around student debt are still very important. And I'm not going to ask again, because I think you highlighted what would happen if the chaos, right, the chaos that would be created if the CRA were passed. And that's something we need to remember. We do not need to create chaos among those who have taken out student debt. And I think that's kind of what you were pointing to. Is that right, Ranking Member Scott?
Exactly. I mean, like I said, there are about an average of about almost 100,000 people in each congressional district that will be eligible for relief. About a third of those had already been approved, ready to go. About half of those, it will discharge the total amount of their loans. And so you've got a lot of people in your district that are counting on this relief that will be very disappointed if this Congressional Review Act resolution passes.
Right. And I think one of the pieces that we don't talk about as often is the PSLF credit, right? The public service workers who received credit for public service between September and December, right? So this is another piece, and these are people there are teachers, there are nurses, there are people we depended on and we continue to depend on. And once again, let's talk about what is the impact on people we care about in our communities. So the other point that strikes me is just like with the Republican tax cuts that led to the ever-increasing debt that we have now, right? Their tax cuts favored the wealthy. If we pass this, it would actually favor the well-off. 90% of the relief would go to borrowers earning below $75,000 a year. If we continued with the relief as set forth, these are for people who are they're teachers, they're people who need the help, right? Less than $75,000 a year. Those are the ones who will benefit if we do this. You know, in New Mexico, it's 60,500 people that are going to benefit from this. Chairwoman Foxx, do you know how many people would be denied debt relief in your district?
No, but I do know that only 13% of the people in this country have this debt. 87% do not have debt. And so this is wildly unfair to those people. So if you look at the ranking member said it's about 100,000 per congressional district, well, then that means 660,000 don't have debt. And so this is totally unfair. Why should 13% of the people in this country, why should 87% of the people in this country pay off the debt of these other people at over $3,500 per person? They either didn't go to college or they went to college and they paid for it themselves. It's totally unfair to transfer the debt from certain people to others. Where are you going to start? Stop doing that. Why is the college debt so significant? How about people who have credit card debt that they had to take out during the pandemic? A lot of people had to take out major credit card debt. So why don't we pay off working people's debt from that?
Well, one of the points, just so you know, 75,900 people in your district would be harmed if we pass this, because they would be denied debt relief. Well, when we're talking,
700,000 don't have.
75,900.
So you're talking about 700,000 people with no debt having to pay the debt of those deadbeats.
I think that's a very good question, Chairwoman Foxx, thinking about how do we deal with wealth, right? And let's look at those 2017 tax cuts. They benefited the most wealthy in our economy. And so that's an example of where we have prioritized, the Republicans, when they were in control, prioritized the most wealthy. And so that did harm the rest of the economy. Ranking Member Scott, do you want to address this issue of who benefits?
Yeah, I didn't hear any equity problems when 80% of the benefits of the Trump tax cut went to the top 1%, not 13%, top 1%. I didn't hear any equity.
Because, Mr. Scott, those are the people who are paying the taxes. Those other people aren't paying taxes. You got 47% of the people in this country not paying a dime in taxes.
Whatever the cost,
Ranking Member?
whatever the cost of the, per person of the student loan relief, it's twice as much to help that top 1%. I didn't hear any equity problems when at least a dozen members of the House of Representatives got an average $1 million PPP loans that were forgiven. I didn't hear any equity problems with that. This is to help those. And the problem occurred because we have disinvested in education. When I was in college, Pell Grant covered 80% of the cost of college. When these people went to college, Pell Grant covers less than a third. And that's because we have been disinvesting. The Pell Grant hasn't kept up with the cost of education. States haven't done their part. They used to pay 2/3 of the cost of a state college. Now, on average, it's less than 1/3. There's colleges in Virginia where the state spend single-digit percentage of the cost of the college. So, you know, we need to not only do this, we need to look prospectively to make college a lot more affordable.
Right, and we want to be in a place where we are assisting our young folks, whether they want to go into vocational, whether they want to go to community college, whether they want to go to university, realize their ambitions. And the issue is, where are you going to invest? Are you going to invest in that 1%? Are you going to invest in those who took at least an average of $1 million in PPP, but don't want to let a little $10,000 or $20,000 go to students who had debt, who were trying? I mean, I've talked to many of these. They've reached out to me. I've done town halls around this issue, and there are people who are doing important work in our communities and need help. They need the help, and this provided that help. Thank you very much, Ranking Member and Chairwoman, and with that, I yield back.
Chair, thanks, gentlelady. Gentlelady is back. Chair recognizes